Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about how to switch from an existing fulfillment company or agent to another. It can be quite a difficult subject, and especially if you've had quite a long relationship with your current provider, it's you have to be quite political. So we're going to dive into the details. I mean, the most important thing you want to keep at the top of your head at all times is that regardless of the reason why you want to switch, it's best not to burn bridges in any relationship, particularly a business relationship. So the first thing I want to touch on is the reason why you want to move on. So it could be a number of reasons. It could be due to price, maybe they're too expensive now. Although, before I move on, and while I'm on the subject of price, if it's down to shipping, then chances are that it's not going to make any difference, or very, very little difference, which fulfillment company you use or agent you use. As if you're using the same service, if you're using Express, THPXR, and then you move over to a fulfillment company, a different fulfillment company, and use that exact same service, then the pricing is going to be the same. As long as the product's the same weight, same orders, there's not going to be any difference. If there is, it's going to be very minimal. Unless, of course, one of the fulfillment companies or agents is not being honest and they're marking up the shipping costs. So that's one reason. When it comes to other costs involved, it could be that your current provider is too expensive on their fees, such as they're putting too much of a markup on the product costs. I mean, this is usually how the majority of agents and fulfillment companies operate, especially on cross-border e-commerce services where they pick, pack and ship your goods for you, especially when it comes to sourcing anyway. So they would, if the product costs them $1, they potentially will include their overheads in that product. So they might charge you $2 or $3. So it's not very transparent, but it's kind of the easiest way for them to do it. And before I go any further, we don't operate that way, although we used to. With our app, it's all extremely transparent. We have separate elements, so we show you the cost price of the product, and then we charge you all the miscellaneous fees. So you can see how much our packing fee is. There's the domestic delivery fee, there's the sourcing fee, and other miscellaneous fees. So you can see exactly how we're charging you and where we're charging, and you can see this on our website as well under pricing. So that's one reason why you would move, and you should never jump the gun. Of course, what you want to do first is plan everything out beforehand. You don't want to it's never good to get emotional, and especially if you're really unhappy and your supplier or agent has been dishonest for any reason, or you find out that they've been lying to you or overcharging. Regardless of what the reason is, you shouldn't just purely base it on emotions and say, this guy really pissed me off, I don't care, I'm leaving. You have to have a solution, and you have to have done your research before you make that decision. So before you go down that road, you're going to need to check all the other different competitors, do your research, check what their pricing's like, get quotes, and obviously that's one aspect. There's many more important things which I've covered in a previous video, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. So just to summarize, just make sure you've done your homework, and before you're even ready to move on, you've shortlisted a few, and you select 2 to 3 alternatives, just in case you do make the switch, that your first choice wasn't as good as you thought it will be, you can then fall back to the second option or third option. So once you have those options and you have, you know, plan A, B and C, only then should you start planning to move on. So once again, don't burn any bridges. Try and keep the relationship as sweet as possible, even if you both know you've pissed each other off. I mean, let's be honest, it's not always one way. Sometimes this fulfillment company or agent could be annoyed with you. Maybe they've had enough of you. In fact, that has happened quite a few times with me personally, where I've had to, you know, say sorry, we can't work with you anymore. And if that's the case, it's even more difficult, because although I've said that, I mean, I'm very I'm not a hard ass and give them, you know, 24 hours to find another solution. I would give them ample enough time, even if they have you know, crossed the line. But just make sure that whether it's on your terms or their terms, that you're both happy to an extent. You don't abuse each other in any way. Of course, you can only do it. There's only one way. You can only conduct yourself in a certain way, and hope that your business partner or your fulfillment company treats you the same way. So that's number one. If that's all done, you know, you're both happy. It's not a bitter relationship or ending to the relationship, then that's when you can safely move on. Now, there's other things to this aside from, and I'm going to lead up to the main reason why you shouldn't end the relationship on a bitter standpoint. And one of the main reasons is obvious one would be if you have inventory with them, or there's some kind of something holding you to them. That's the main thing. Maybe you still have credit on account. You know, most fulfillment companies or agents, particularly the smaller ones that don't have, you know, a proper system or platform, you would no doubt have had to have paid them some credit to ship, for usually shipping credit, or even if they're doing sourcing as well, they use that for product sourcing as well. So that's one thing. Could be that you have money with them. Second could be that you have physical inventory with them. Pardon me. A third reason could be that you're tied to their platform. And what I mean by this is, if they're a smaller agent or haven't been around for that long, they will most likely be using a free ERP, so something like Xiaomi, which connects to your Shopify or WooCommerce store, or any other platform. And this is usually what your fulfillment company or agent would set up. You know, they would install the app for you, they'll create an account, and they will bind your Shopify store to their online Xiaomi account. Now, it's not as easy as just deleting the app from your store, your Shopify store, because it's still binded to your store is still binded to their Xiaomi online account. So let's take an example. Let's say your current agent, who you're moving away from, or at least plan to move away from, has Xiaomi installed on your store, and they've binded it, and they've been processing orders that way for some time. And then, let's say worst case scenario, the relationship ended suddenly, and you know, you're not talking to each other anymore, and you move over to another agent, and they also rely on the Xiaomi ERP or system. Then you are pretty much screwed, because if your new agent attempts to bind your shopifystore.com to their Xiaomi account, it will not allow them, because it's already binded to another Xiaomi account. So if that's the case, then they're not going to be able to sync orders, automatically upload the tracking numbers, etc. It would have to be like CSV uploads, which, you know, I've never recommended, and there's no automation. Or they can use a different platform or a different system, but that's easier said than done. There's lots of training and getting familiar with a particular system. So if they are using DHL, it's highly unlikely that they can easily use a different ERP instead as a solution. So if that's the case, then your best bet would be to just try and find an alternative fulfillment company or agent. And this goes back to my first point of not burning any bridges, because if you avoid that as much as possible, then you wouldn't be at this stage. At the very least, you could contact your previous agent and say, look, I know we're not working together, although I'd really appreciate if you could unbind my store from your DHL so my new agent can start processing your orders. So that's the main reason, because you never know what impact it's going to have going forward. And you never know, maybe even if your plan B and C failed and all the other, you might find that all the other agents or fulfillment companies are actually worse than your original one, or maybe turned out that they're more expensive after a while. So you may want to go back to your original fulfillment company and then obviously reinstall everything and whatnot. Okay, so they're the main things. There's obviously much more to this. You have to not only you do the obvious things. Once you've completely moved away and you're happy with your new choice of partner or agent, then you have to make sure all of your confidential, whether it's credentials, whether you've shared Google Drives or gave them permission to your Shopify store for any reason, you obviously want to make sure that is all either cancelled, deleted, or whatever it is. Just remove all the permissions so that they no longer have access to your store or account, even if you have ended on a good relationship, because you never know, maybe they might log in and accidentally do something on your store, whether it's intentional or not. It's an obvious thing that you need to consider and do before you start using your new solution. So I mean, if you are currently in this position and you are looking for a new fulfillment company, then by all means send us a message. We'll be more than happy to quote you. Our process has changed slightly. For those who don't know, we used to have an MOQ, but we don't anymore, to an extent. I'll put a video up here so you can watch my YouTube video on the MOQ in detail. But otherwise, the MOQ is, as long as you've got an order or two consistently, you can use our platform, and you can get a quote via our platform under the sourcing, or you can email us or use our bot on our Facebook page. This will ask you a series of questions. This has recently been rebuilt actually, so it's not as hopefully it's not as frustrating to you as it used to be, but it just asks you a series of questions. How many orders do you do, your product URL, and then that will be sent to our procurement team. We will get back to you with a quote, provide you with the URL of our marketplace. Our app marketplace, you just need to click on it, sign up, and you'll be able to see the pricing on there, and if it's as to your liking and it suits your margins, then we can start working together. It's easy as that. We don't have to onboard you or anything like that. If you're higher volume, then speak to us. We'll get you invited to Slack, and you would have a dedicated account manager with, as well as access to me and the team, your own channel. So you get a dedicated and premium support, as opposed to if you have low volume, you would only have email and FB Messenger chat support. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully this video has been useful. If you do have any questions or concerns, whether you are thinking of leaving your current provider, or you have previously done and you have some questions, leave it in the comments below. Be more than happy to answer them. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Going to be releasing many more videos like this, which hopefully will help viewers make better informed decisions. So until next time, take care and happy Dragon Boat Festival, which is around the corner. So take care, guys.